Okay, today we are diving into something that is truly a fundamental revolution in how blockchains work. I'm not kidding. For over a decade, one single problem has held this entire industry back. And it turns out, everyone was looking in completely the wrong place for the answer.
It all starts with this question, right? The question that has haunted developers and users since day one. Why on earth are blockchains so slow and expensive? Why does a simple transaction sometimes cost as much as a fancy coffee and take minutes to go through? Well, this question, it's the start of our detective story.
You see, for the longest time, the entire industry, we're talking billions of dollars in venture capital, thousands of brilliant minds, they all chased after a single suspect. But as we're about to see, that suspect was a total red herring. It was a massive misunderstanding that sent almost everyone down the wrong path.
Now, to really get what happened, we have to look at the old way of doing things, the monolithic model. And the best way to think about this is to imagine one of those clunky, all-in-one desktop computers from the 90s. You know, the ones where every single component is jammed together and nothing works very efficiently. So here's the core of the problem. A monolithic chain makes every single computer in its network, every one of those nodes, do all four of these jobs all at once. It has to compute things, finalize them, order them, and publish the data. And the result? The whole network can only move as fast as its slowest, weakest computer. This created a massive, massive bottleneck, which you've probably heard of as the scalability trilemma.
So, faced with this giant traffic jam, the industry pointed its finger at a culprit. Everyone thought the problem was execution, that the computers just weren't powerful enough to do the calculations quickly. And this, my friends, was the great execution fallacy.
This belief led to this mad dash to build a faster engine. We saw the rise of all these so-called Ethereum killers, brand new blockchains that were obsessed with raw computational speed. But even with these supercharged engines, the costs stayed high and things were still clunky because they were busy optimizing the completely wrong part of the machine. And then the breakthrough clue appeared, a new piece of tech called Rollups. Now you can think of these as a really clever workaround that takes all the heavy computation and moves it off the main congested blockchain. And in doing so, Rollups accidentally blew the case wide open and revealed the real villain of our story. This was the jaw-drop moment. When people actually analyzed what was costing so much on a rollup, they were shocked. It turned out that the computation itself, it was dirt cheap. A staggering 95% of the fee had nothing to do with doing the transaction, but was for publishing the proof of that transaction back onto the main chain. And that was the aha moment. The entire industry had spent years trying to build a faster CPU, when the real problem all along was a slow internet connection. The bottleneck was never the compute, it was the bandwidth. This quote just nails it perfectly. The hard part wasn't calculating who owns what. The hard part was making sure everyone in the world could see the receipt, proving that calculation happened.
This discovery led to a total paradigm shift. We had to stop thinking of a blockchain as this slow, clunky, shared world computer. The new model sees it as a hyper-secure world bulletin board. Its only job is to publish data, in the correct order, for everyone to see. That's it. The blockchain becomes lazy on purpose, and that's its superpower. And that finally brings us to our key term. Data availability, or DA. All it means is the guarantee that the data for a block was actually published, and that anyone who wanted to could check it. And this is so critical. DA is not about long-term storage. Think of it like a live news broadcast, not a library archive. It's a short-term guarantee that the data was there when it needed to be.
Okay, so you might be wondering, how in the world can a network guarantee that terabytes of data are available without forcing every person on Earth to download it all? Well, this is where some incredibly clever crypto magic comes into play. So the first tool is something called erasure coding. Now before this, an attacker could try to hide one tiny malicious transaction, a classic needle in a haystack problem. But with erasure coding, the data is kind of smeared out in a clever way. So to hide even a single byte of data, an attacker now has to hide more than half of the entire block. This completely changes the game. It turns the problem from finding a tiny needle to noticing that half the haystack is missing, which is, pretty easy to spot.
And that trick enables the second piece of magic, data availability sampling, or DAS. So instead of downloading a whole block, which could be huge, a lightweight node on the network just downloads a few random tiny pieces. And because of that erasure coding trick, if they can successfully grab just 30 of these random chunks, the probability that they've been fooled by a bad guy is less than 1 in a billion. This is huge. It completely breaks the old rule that more data requires more work from everyone. Now, there are basically two main ways to secure these systems. You've got the optimistic approach, which uses something called fraud proofs. It basically says, hey, let's just assume everything is correct unless someone can prove it's wrong. It's simple, but it means you have to wait around for a bit to be sure. The other way uses validity proofs, really powerful math that proves correctness right up front. This gives you instant security, but it's a bit more expensive to create those proofs. So this whole revolution has kicked off a brand new arms race. But this time, it's not a race for the fastest computer. It's a race for the biggest, fastest, most secure data pipe. So let's take a look at the major players on the field as of 2025.
All right, so here's the state of play. You can see there are a few different approaches. Eigenday is just a beast when it comes to raw throughput, and it has predictable pricing because it borrows its security from Ethereum. Then you've got Celestia, which is a pioneer in sovereign rollups, giving developers a ton of freedom. Avail is trying to be the layer that unifies all these different blockchain worlds, and of course, Ethereum itself is building this technology right into its core.
So what does this all actually mean for you, for me, for the future of the web? It means we are finally moving out of an era of digital scarcity and into an era of true digital abundance. Just look at the economic impact here. The cost to post data on-chain is in an absolute freefall. We are talking orders of magnitude cheaper. This isn't some small incremental improvement. This is the kind of change that unlocks entirely new categories of apps that were just a fantasy before. Things like complex on-chain games, decentralized social media, maybe even on-chain AI. You see, the scaling limit has fundamentally shifted. It's no longer the blockchain software that's holding us back, it's the physical hardware of the internet itself. According to Nielsen's law, our home internet connections are constantly getting faster. And as they do, these new modular blockchains will get faster right alongside them.
And this leads to some absolutely mind-boggling numbers. Based on how fast we expect internet bandwidth to grow, researchers have calculated that by the year 2030, this new architecture could support up to 14 million transactions per second. That is a scale that doesn't just rival, but actually surpasses the entire global financial system as it exists today.
So, if you only take one single thing away from this explainer, let it be this. The very definition of consensus in a blockchain has changed. It's no longer about agreeing on computation. It's about agreeing that the data was published for all to see. Data availability is the new consensus.
We've effectively moved the bottleneck from the computer CPU to the network cable plugged into your wall. The technical roadblocks that define the entire first decade of crypto are just dissolving. So the final question is no longer, can we make it scale, but what will we build with all this newfound abundance? The bottleneck isn't the technology anymore, it's our own imagination.